A recent report indicates that the Bengals have a very unique motivation in getting a Trey Hendrickson contract extension done, and in this video, I'll explain how that could actually help them get this across the goal line. Hi again, Bengals fans. John Sheeran of EDGE Sports Cincinnati here, and the Bengals shouldn't need any more motivation to get Trey Hendrickson's contract situation sorted out. Like, this is not necessarily complicated. I understand that Hendrickson is 30, going to be 31 in December. I understand that there is a fear that he could fall off at any minute. I totally get that. I understand that's why they haven't paid him yet. I understand that whatever his asking price is, the Bengals haven't quite matched yet. But it is still 100% in Cincinnati's best interest to pay him, extend him, instead of trading him for like a second or third round pick or a player who's not going to be nearly as good as him over the next year or two. Because Hendrickson is worth so much more than just the $16 million in cash he's set to earn this year. The Bengals recognize that. Hendrickson himself recognizes that. And there's every reason to believe that if he doesn't get that, then he will make Cincinnati's life extremely hard for the duration of this offseason. The Bengals really shouldn't need any more motivation beyond that, but there just might be some in existence here. The latest report of what seems to be going on between the Bengals and Hendrickson comes from NFL Media's Ian Rappaport, who appeared on the Pat McAfee show Monday afternoon, and I found it to be very interesting because this report was clearly not coming from Hendrickson's side of the negotiations, but rather than what the Bengals are going through right now. Because a lot of the talk around the Bengals over the last week has been about them paying both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and outside of the criticism beyond paying two receivers that much money, there was a lot of surprise that the team was able to work out two monumental extensions, not just in the same offseason, but in the same day, really. And how there's this perception that's been forming over the past few years that the Bengals are prone to letting their best players leave the building. And according to Rappaport, he seems to believe that the Bengals hear this and are annoyed by this, quite literally. Rappaport said on the Pat McAfee show, quote, "The Bengals do not like letting good players leave the building, even if it's for a huge draft pick. They don't like it. They like to draft, develop, sign their own guys, and I think they get annoyed that people think that they don't sign their guys." Rappaport continued to confirm that the Bengals are still talking and still trying to work out this deal and said, quote, "And I know they would like to keep him in the building. They would like to pay him, and I think they would like people to stop saying, why don't the Bengals pay their guys? Because they do. And I think getting Hendrickson done at a value that makes sense for both sides will be a great way for the Bengals to be like, see?" And again, this is just so fascinating to me because it seems like the Bengals are getting bullied into doing this. Like, ignore the fact that it's still the proper decision to actually pay one of your best players while he's still in the prime of his career. No, the Bengals are trying to do this because everyone thinks that they won't. Now, is this just sensationalized information that's been leaked to a national reporter to make the team look like the good guys in this situation? Very possible, right? Time and time again, players' agents are feeding information to guys like Rappaport to make the team look like they're in the bad situation, and I think that's been happening quite frequently with this situation, considering the fact that Hendrickson's representation has been bullied and bodied by the Bengals for the past 2 years, and they're just trying to get a win here. But communications both publicly and privately around the Bengals this offseason has been to try and get all three of these deals done: Chase, Higgins, Hendrickson, probably in the order that is progressing right now. So I don't think that this is something new or recent that the Bengals are just looking at from the outside and saying, hey, no one thinks we can do this, let's go ahead and do it. I still think that the plan from the get-go was to approach Hendrickson and get something done, but maybe this has been all lying under the surface this entire time. Because this goes back to before just this year, right? The Bengals lost so many players specifically on the defensive side of the ball that led to the roster getting to where it is right now. And even long before that, Andrew Whitworth, Kevin Zeidler both left in the same offseason, leading to the offensive line collapse that's been the case for the better part of the last 8 years. The Bengals used to be entirely built around draft, develop, and retain when they could get their best players to take contracts that they agreed to. But as soon as other teams started throwing guaranteed money at a lot higher rate compared to the Bengals, that's when things started to change. And if they want to get Hendrickson done, they're going to have to include quite a bit of guaranteed money, at least in the form of rolling guarantees. So this isn't exactly the motivation that I would need in order to pay one of my best players, but if it does get the Bengals across the finish line, I think that's all Bengals fans can ask for at this point.